Welcome to Mori episode 2. I'm here with the boys. Say hi.
Hi, how are you
Hi.
doing?
Today we talk about radio games, movies, manga, anime, and a bit about the Christmas, New Year, and that kind of stuff. So, how's been your Christmas, New Year?
Okay.
Yeah, it was okay. Just doing the same thing more or less that I think we do throughout the year. Consuming all these media.
I was
Mm,
just chilling at home, basically. I didn't go anywhere for the first of the new year. I don't know how about you guys. Usually people go somewhere for the first day.
I went, I didn't went anywhere. I just sat with family eating. What did I eat again? Gourmet? No. Comes back again. Same with New Year. We usually watch the fireworks and whatnot, and there was this year a lot of fireworks again because we can actually fire them again. When because we had for 2 years we couldn't from the government because there were a bit too many idiots just doing whatever with them. So yeah, we had to set that back. So yeah, one went by my wind, just right before my window. It just exploded in the garden from the neighbors. So yeah, that was great, but that was a good time. It was a good time.
Yeah,
Christmas
I
tree.
think technically I think they're illegal here too. But I don't think they ever stop anybody. I mean,
No,
technically,
no, it never does now. Except if
yeah,
nobody can buy it, then illegal fireworks are also a really big thing here, and like they get from Belgium or
but
Germany or something.
I actually I'm not sure if selling it is illegal, but I think blowing them up is illegal. So it's kind of a because
Mm.
I see like these people selling them over, in tents and things set up. But
Mm.
yeah, I'm not sure. But technically murder is illegal, and that kind of still happens. So much
Yeah,
less
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
fireworks.
yeah. I mean, our fireworks are just like the illegal fireworks are way heavier and way worse than the normal ones. So those are the ones that try to stop or get raided or whatnot. So yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and for the rest, two cities were forbidden to get fireworks, but nobody cared and just did it anyway. So yeah. And how about you, Phantom?
Oh, it's pretty much the same for me. For a couple of days, fireworks would blow up near my window.
Ah,
Uh,
one
a
time.
pretty fun experience late at night.
Hmm.
Well, at
Okay.
least it was near the window and not in.
Yeah. Same for me. Same for me. Uh, mm,
Fireworks are to be expected, I guess, for the new
yeah.
year. Even
Yeah,
here,
it's also always before and after. There's a lot of fireworks still going on. Just people trying to get everything they can get their hands on. And for Christmas, also got a few presents, like a Steam Deck, for instance. It's like bought it myself, cause yeah, who has the money for that thing? I mean, it's pretty advanced, really. I mean, it's literally a mini computer. It has a whole Linux desktop, so you can basically browse the net all you want, basically, or just play games on there, or have Steam on there, or have video whatnots on there, really. And obviously Steam, so you can play all kinds of Steam games that I couldn't play on my potato computer, like Noita or High on Life, which I been playing today, which is a lot of fun. It's really funny from the same creators as Rick and Morty, like that did which Roland was the voice of for them. made the series and whatnot. So that was really fun, and a bitch of other games. Maybe I can set it up to my bigger monitor and with a few cables and get a mini computer going there or something. It's a lot of to experiment with it. I mean, never had this thing, so yeah, it's a lot of experimenting with it, really. And some other games and some other things, obviously. Art books like the exhibition art book for Berserk, for from his exhibition I found for $40 on auction, Japanese auction. So that's also a really good buy because it's pretty rare to get because it's only been sold on those two onto those two exhibitions of him. So yeah, that's been a real treat to read and get through, and yeah, we all know his art. It's incredible, obviously. So yeah, that's also pretty good. And beyond that, maybe some other books, some other stuff, and yeah, got that for a change.
Cool.
Anybody else get anything or bought anything or just
Well,
whatever?
a friend gifted me the Tape Lumina fighting game.
Oh, nice. What's about that?
Well, it's the basically for the Fate universe fighting.
Ah,
This one.
okay.
And the one with Neko Arc.
Okay. Nice.
Haven't really tested it yet. I wanna really try it with the person who bought it for me.
Okay. Nice. I mean, I haven't seen anything from the Fate series. Someone
Oh, you don't really
recommend.
need to play the game. It's just the fighting game with
Oh,
these
okay.
characters.
Oh, okay. In that way. Okay. Yeah. It's just it. Okay. Yeah. I thought it was part of that, but no. Okay. I mean, I've been recommended a Fate series through a gift exchange with my analyst. Did take part in that. So you need to recommend some anime and manga to somebody, and they recommend you stuff back. But mine couldn't find anything. They just came in with Tomi from Junji Ito, but I already have all his works already, and it apparently was not on my list. But I knew I just had to get it one day. So yeah, maybe I need to get on my list. No Junji Ito or anything, so I don't get the same every time. It was last time it was just Tomi. Maybe some other manga, but I don't know. Maybe I'm too advanced and watch way too much and read too much shit for anybody to recommend me stuff, or just have to be lucky that anybody is reading me shit. So yeah, could be better in that regard.
It's kind of lonely.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess. Anybody reading anything or being reading?
Manga wise,
Manga wise, novels, whatnot.
do you know a Bride Story from Kaoru Mori?
Yeah. Volume 1 of that series.
I wanted to get back into it because it's really basically a single volume came out like once a year. So I struggle when I find a series that basically you can't read all at once. So, but I like the series. I like the artwork. I like the setting, many things, and I wanted to get back into it and started to read again from volume 1 till the last one that was published. I think was volume 12. I don't remember.
Yeah. Which is basically a series about like the 19th or 18th century with a 14-year-old boy that gets married to a 23-year-old because at 14 that's the right age to marry someone, but the 23-year-old is actually way too old to marry, but still they get married and they try to figure out their life together is basically what it is. And there's also a reporter from
Kind of, but it's not just the story of him and his bride.
uh,
There are multiple stories then intertwine together,
mm,
other
mm,
brides and other characters. Basically, it's like a journey across those territories of the Middle East. I think it's the Middle East, like Mesopotamia, today's
mm,
Iraq, that kind of countries back then. And well, as I said, the artwork is amazing, so detailed.
mhm.
Just check it out if you haven't done so already, because it's worth
Mhm.
one of the best art that you can find a manga in today's manga.
Yeah, it's pretty detailed. I mean, with this art, it's like if you zoom in, you see a lot of detail, but at the same time, not. I don't know how to explain it. It's a bit of in the middle with it. Like, if you zoom in with something like Berserk or like the Barons, if you heard of that, then you can really zoom in and see all these kinds of details. But with his art, I don't know, I can't really do that or something. Maybe with his art or something, or maybe it changes across volumes. But I don't know, it's still great. It's still great art, obviously. So yeah, it is in high regard, and every volume is like here in hardcover. So yeah, I mean, it's gotta be good then.
Yeah.
Anybody else read anything?
Well, when I was searching for most detailed manga art, this Kaori Mori came up too. You
Mm.
know, just every panel is just covered with so much texture and filigree and brocade and designs and all the clothing and all this stuff. I haven't read the manga yet, Koma, but just the art alone is crazy. But I think I understand what you mean, Mars, because like the faces themselves are kind of simple, but they're dressed in all this, extremely detailed clothing, with all
Yeah,
this design and stuff within them, and not just the design within them, but the fact that the design is adherent to all the wrinkles and stuff in the clothes, is insane, and a lot of mats. This guy like to draw. No, I think it's a woman. This woman likes to draw a lot of mats, with
Yeah,
designs all
yeah.
over them. A
Also
lot.
seen that. Yeah.
This, yeah, it's really, really cool. I'll definitely have to watch it. Check it out.
Mm, yeah. I mean, for the rest of the manga, I bought another volume of Pampanya, which is like this indie manga about a girl that just goes about her daily life, but also with some weird stories, like a parrot that tries to eat, that tries to learn English and tries to make a homework machine, or like a dolphin that tries to learn math or other things like that. There's also it's fun poems that you can read before bed or something, like really short stories, that kind of thing. Like I already have two, like yeah, Gunyabano Holiday or an invitation from a crab is like a poem from that. And yeah, it's really fun if you just want some short light stories. It's a really good one. Also has some awards at I think he hits, but I'm not sure really. For the rest, bought finally volume 2 of the Master Edition, or the perfect volume of Monster, which I bought the first volume like years ago and just couldn't care to get the rest for some reason, and then it got out of stock and I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I went into the shop, I saw it again, so well, fuck it, I just buy it because it's Monster after all. So I got that now, so that's pretty good. And for the rest, in the same shop, I found the Meta Barons made by Jorskowski and Gimes, which is our two Argentina artists and storytellers. And Gimes is really detailed; it can really put some detailed art out there with like with science fiction, like the spacecraft, the characters, the backgrounds, etc., etc., etc. And the Metaborans is this generation story. It starts out with this Spartan-like family that just like does anything to achieve its own goal or survival or whatnot, and it's been told by two robots which are maintaining the planet that their master was on but left, and it just keeps falling in disrepair each time you read it. So yeah, it's a really interesting story. I mean, it goes from mythical material that just can lift really heavy blocks, like blocks you found on the pyramids of Giza, for instance. You could just lift it with one hand or something, and the whole galaxy goes after him to get it. Or they get a baby and it has to go through all kinds of crazy trials to see if he's worthy to be the next Meta Baron or something like that. It's really interesting work if you ever get to read it. Sadly, he passed away like 2 years ago due to COVID, and he was 76 or something. So that was really interesting. Yeah, it's what I bought for like a couple of weeks, I think.
It's really
Uh,
a shame that great people pass away like that.
Yeah. True. It's like a lots of these great artists just go for no reason, and we just can't get any more of their works, which is really sad. I mean, Meta Barons was made from the 90s to 2003, like a 10-year period. They made that onto, and was like a spin-off of Inca, I believe, which is an original work done by Mobius and Jurowski. So yeah, but yeah, it's also with Miura is also the same. Also died, left his work unfinished, and now his assistant tried to finish it, but we don't get really much. We get the story finished, but it's not Miura at the end of the day. It's not his hand anymore that does it, but still, it's still great art. I mean, obviously those assistants have to have the knowledge to get it finished. So yeah.
Well, I think his assistants did most of the work for the last couple of chapters before he died, either way. So no wonder the art is basically the same at this point after all these years. He was really reliant on them. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, they worked on the rim for
I mean,
years.
like even if he was using them a lot, I think they needed his obsession and perfectionism to take it to the next level. I mean, not that the work that he made wasn't good, but I think I don't know. Well, I mean, we're never gonna know. We never to know. But I do wonder how much of the story, and I mean, everybody always asking this: how much of the story do people know? I mean, do they know the broad strokes? Do they know the details? I know his friend is supposed to be taking over the writing of it. Of the remain, but I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, and there's so many balls in the air. It's not like just one thing that was gonna happen. There was so many things that were, but I think if the last chapter was the last chapter that we ever got, that was really an interesting place to end it. So the last Mira handle chapter, just the two of them, facing each other after all this time.
Yeah. I mean, it's like almost philosophical on how they meet each other again and what they said. And lots of fans also thought like this is the real end of the manga. Like, I'm good with the ending like this. I don't even need to see what the assistants go do after this, or don't want to see it, or they really thought it would be the ending like so many people thought. But no, because one of Miura's longtime friends, he had a conversation with like how the manga is gonna end, and that's the only time he ever really spoke about how the manga would end. So they just go off on that one interaction, that one talk with the best thing, with the most that he remembers about the talk, and just go off on that. So yeah, let's hope he can pull it off. Or like, I haven't really seen it since that they went on the island, and that the last chapter which Miura really worked on, so don't really know how it's gonna go after this. I mean, I know that the eclipse is gonna happen again, obviously, but yeah, I still have to read up the rest. I mean, I'm working my way up with the master editions, the hardcover master editions in English, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. And I also watched like yesterday the new Trigun Stampedes anime, the first episode, which they changed a lot of things. And like Melee is gone, if you ever saw it, or it's all in 3D now, and the story is lots of changed. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not that bad as I thought it would be, but animation is not that bad, but I mean, it misses a few things, I guess. I mean, they tried to rehash some old jokes. Like in the first new episode, they did the joke from the first episode of the original anime. They did that again, so, but then different. But I don't know. I still have to see how it goes. Anybody seen
So
that?
it's not faithful to the original manga. It's completely different, you say, or because I haven't read Trigun, so I have no idea if this is faithful or not. I think even the original 90s anime is sort of different from the manga.
Yeah, the ending.
Yeah.
Right. No. Because even the first anime, which everybody love, it there's a lot of things that I think expanded on in the manga as usual. Because there's no, I haven't read the manga. I only kind of started reading it, but I think there's a lot more to the lore, because he's like this. They never really get into what exactly he is,
Yeah.
There's like this kind of angelic being that is part of the technology that terraforms the world, right? Right. I don't think we ever get into that. No, I don't know if we get into it in the manga, but at least that's what those are little dangling things from the manga, from the anime, that I wanted to find out more about. And well, I don't know. I don't know. What did you think of the CG animation in the new one? I haven't seen it. I've only seen a little bit of it.
I mean, it's not that bad. Maybe when we're in space, we're trying to escape. The explosions was a bit. I guess it was not that great. I mean, the characters look alright. They don't look too bad. The backgrounds are 2D, I guess. Being drawn. So it's not too bad. I mean, it could be worse, a lot worse, but I don't know. It's not the best. It's not the worst. A lot of character design has changed though. Like Spike has Vash has changed a lot. Like his hairstyle is more like hairstyle what you see now. Like the side's been really being real short, and then just on top he has a lot of hair, which is you see now a lot. They changed that too, but that wouldn't work. Like the original just literally did spike hair, which worked for the manga and worked for the time, and
Yeah,
obviously,
they
like
really shouldn't have
really.
changed it.
Hmm?
Yeah, they really shouldn't have changed it. It doesn't
Yeah,
just
they should.
simply doesn't fit him.
Yeah. It's just they try to get to more relatable to a new generation, but I mean, in 10 years' time, that's gonna look old. Obviously, that's gonna be out of style. And with the original, it looked like really futuristic because his costume was like all, nothing you seen anything like it before, or like in the world itself, or like at the time even. So that really works for that. But
That
that's kind of
and
bummer I get.
it looked like it was a pain to draw too, which I think is good. It shouldn't be easy. It should be extremely hard, you know. But I mean that's kind of just my bias. Also, I think this show started off. The new one started off in space, kind of giving no the original anime. I think you had no idea what was going on. You had no idea
Yeah,
that
in the beginning, you had no
this
clue.
was like
No.
right. So I think that might have been a better way to start it off, the original one, because that kind of gave a lot of mystery to the world. You know, because like you have all this. I thought that was interesting too. Like you have this world where, and it's kind of like a sci-fi trope where technology is almost like magic to these people. You know, because it's so many generations passed from the people that actually knew about the technology. You know, so now it's only like it's almost like this is lost knowledge. You know, like how this big light bulb in the desert, how is this terraforming the world? You know, and there were only like a few people that knew how to fix this stuff. You know, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I'll check out the new one and see. I mean, I don't know. Like people always say, you know, it's for budgetary reasons why they're doing this CG now. But I mean, I really have to wonder: is it really saving that much money? Because I mean, the CG isn't free
It's
either.
probably saving a lot of money in comparison.
It's convenient to use CGI.
Yeah, it's more cheaper to get it to use.
Yeah, you have to remember this is competition, right? So.
But then you're creating a product that I think becomes dated very quickly. No, because I don't think that I think that CG becomes dated much faster than hand drawn. You know what I mean?
That's true, but it's not like they don't.
Yeah,
It's not like
well, I mean, I would like to be making something that we could look at again in 20 years. I mean, I just rewatched the anime a while back, you know. And if the CG is looking kind of iffy now, how is it going to look like in the future? I mean, are these new CG anime cartoons? Well, I would. Some people don't like even the term CG anime, but will they be viewed of as classics in the future, or are they just like a flash in the pan kind of a thing? You know, they're just gonna be a thing that's consumed and then kind of discarded and kind of never looked at again.
Probably like that.
Yeah. So
I mean,
so then I have to say, you know, is the money being saved even worth it? Because if nobody's gonna buy it, because people still buying stuff from ancient anime, right? And they're rebuying it. But who is gonna? I think it has like a long tail of people that like it and consume it and continue to consume it. But are these cartoons gonna be like that? Are these CG ones? You know, and I mean, you guys don't think so. I don't think so. uh, I don't know, or maybe this is something that's gonna be more accepted and in the future. Maybe it's not
Yeah.
gonna be as I don't know, but I don't know. I just like it to be drawn by hand, regardless of the expense. And I think
Yeah.
they're making I think by doing that, they make a more timeless product. That even if it is more expensive, and I think there's ways to do it now that are a lot cheaper, even if it's being done by hand. But I think a lot of the anime studios, they're still using other ways of production that mightn't be the most efficient. Like I think studio is it Studio Colorado or Colorado or something like that. The studio that is made of like some ex Ghibli guys that did Mary and the Witch's Flower. I don't know if you know the studio I'm talking about, but they I see these guys working with iPads and stuff, and tablets, kind of doing production in like different ways. I'm not necessarily saying that is the way that is more efficient, but or than doing it on paper. But I mean, maybe it's something to look at. That
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, if I
studios
if I remember from Appleseed's 2003 movie, if I ever saw that, I mean, for the time that animation really worked, that was like the best at the time. But if you look at it now, it looks so dated. It looks so bad now. Or like look at CGI from the 80s or 90s. It looks also really dated and was really expensive to do at the time. So it was. So yeah, I mean, when the if the decade per decade, it's just gonna look different and different and different and different. I mean, the early CGI of those times look way different than it does now. And obviously, you have incompetent, you have real bad studios that make some real shit 3D anime, like the Berserk 2016 2017 anime, for instance. I mean, but that was just made by the wrong people at the wrong time, at a short notice, and it just looked worse and worse per episode and per season. So, yeah, or like X-Arm, for instance, is also really incompetent made. I mean, I look at that and I think, like, is that made in 2003 or something? Like, what happened to this? Like, the manga looks way better than the damn anime. So you always have some people to just want to fuck up something for some fucking reason because they don't have time for it or the budget or the wrong people are in the room or whatnot, and it's just gonna look real bad, or just people want to see it because they're gonna laugh at it because it's just so bad that it's good. But that's also been the case with animations like like
now, but now there's a slight difference though, because I think that like even if you look at like I don't know if you ever looked at the old Toy Story 1 again. It probably looks a little crusty now, but at the time that was the most cutting edge thing. But then if you compare that to right, but the hand drawn stuff always holds up. At least if it looked good at the time, I think it still looks good. The hand drawn stuff, but I don't know. I guess it's the way things are now. But I think you'll still see every now and then you'll see somebody doing something hand drawn, kind of in between. There was I don't. Is there any modern mech show that is hand drawn?
I mean, back in the day, like 80s, 70s.
But a modern one?
Probably no.
No, not really. I mean, maybe characters or maybe the designs, background, but yeah, also a lot of CGIs used to get that to work, or else, they're really big mechs or really big ships that need to be moving. So, Yeah, I'm pretty sure that CGI is being used in that. But yeah, I mean, in 2D, you have also stuff like Twinkle Rock Me, which is being famous by getting a Laurel. That's also really bad because it misses the in between free frames and just looks real bad.
I think the new Gundam is it's certainly not 3D. Looks very good. I've only seen
Okay, well,
clips. I haven't really watched the anime. I've only seen clips, but I think it really looks like it's.
oh, you know, what I think. Yeah,
I think
go
it's.
ahead. Sorry.
I think they probably used like 3D models, but as more like as references. I think this is really what you should do when you've got like robots and stuff. Fighting around, because it's really hard to like draw them in all those positions in all those frames. But and if you just render the 3D models, it's gonna look very bad, you know. But I think the golden middle here is is to still use 3D models, but draw over them, so they still have that human look.
Right. I think I've seen that in a few places, but I guess it could be hard to tell, which I think is good. If you can't tell, I think the
If
I don't think there's a lot of people that still could. Yeah. But I don't know. I think there's still some masochistic people that still like to do it. I don't know if you look at like Sakuga compilations where they kind of just take the best parts of anime and put them together. The part where they actually spend some money. Yeah. Those are interesting things to look at. And once in a while, you still see a hand-drawn mech in there. On the Eternal Circus where they have all these missiles.
Oh yeah.
Those scenes, those scenes look a lot. Most of those are hand drawn, and there's something to it. It's almost like if the inaccuracy of it makes it more interesting, quote unquote inaccuracy. The little things that, I mean, what people call as human is actually the kind of mistakes, I suppose you could say. Once I heard somebody say that somebody's artistic style is actually kind of like a compilation of their deficiencies, the things that they can't do, make a style. I think the Simpsons guy couldn't draw chins or something. That is why all his characters have this underbite or overbite. Something like that.
Well, if you're really good, your style is your choice. But I suppose that is an interesting thought. Like your style could be just that. Well, you just found something that you can do, and that looks good. So you just keep doing it. And if you think about it that way, yeah.
And I don't really see it as it's not like a deficiency. It's not like to put down the person that can't draw this. I mean, there's plenty of artists that I'm sure a lot of us like that. It have plenty things they can't draw. Like I don't think I haven't gotten into One Piece, but I don't think that guy could draw like accurate anatomy, or maybe he chooses not to, but that is what. Right. So, and it's better for it, right? Like people like that, So
it's after all, it's more of a taste. I think if you really want to see a certain style in your art, you would probably simply try to make it, try to learn it, right? So You just go after
But
it. Even if you can do it,
I do.
You will learn to.
I do think though that sometimes when somebody becomes so good, the art almost becomes like a little stiffer because of that. I don't know if that makes sense. Like it's almost academic, and then the drawing kind of loses some energy. Like it might seem counterintuitive, but I don't know. It's just some.
I
like,
get what you mean. Like
Yeah.
if it's messy, right, or has mistakes, it has its own charm to it.
Right. Like you wouldn't want a quote unquote well drawn Shin Chan, right? That is the show. It has to look like that. Or like a detailed South Park or something like that. This
is actually why there are some artists that they draw like their style is basically some very distorted characters, and it's very inconsistent, but it's somehow in some way it is consistent, and it really somehow looks good, even though it's messy and it's inconsistent. They make it look good. So this is like it makes them really original in that way.
And I think that it might let you do stories that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. Like in South Park, if that violence was realistic, it would probably be a little too horrific, But it's okay if it's a South Park guy getting torn in half. That is okay, I'm okay with that. And maybe the same thing with Shin Chan. It might be too obscene if it was drawn realistically, But because it's a guy looking like that, okay, all right, I buy this now, I'm okay with this. And I also don't think people should be afraid to do something because they can't draw, or they can't, or they might think that, A lot of people, I think, like wasn't One Punch Man like a crudely drawn comic to begin with?
Yeah, webcomic originally, just made as a joke basically, and then later on it got more serious and got a real plot. And then it got adapted by a real manga, and then it became real popular. And well, it's gone now into 25, 6 volumes, which I have all of it right now on the shelf.
Yeah, if that guy was listening to what people was probably telling him, he probably wouldn't have made the first one,
No, with his style, no.
Yeah. So I think it's, I mean, like I only kind of relatively recently getting the manga, and it's interesting that whatever you draw on this page is the world. You can draw whatever you want and however you feel like. It might seem simple, but there's something about it I find interesting and, I don't know, liberating almost. Yeah, we could draw anything.
Yeah. It's a bit of an indie style, you would say, a bit more of a bit of an amateur style. So you get a whole different feeling out of it. I mean, with Mob Psycho 100 for the anime, they used these original styles, and that got also really popular. I mean, everybody knows that anime now. And that was from his original style, and that really worked with the animation they put into that. So, yeah. I can see why.
And I like that show. I like that show too because of how rough it looks, It really feels like it's handmade.
Yeah. Lots of real weird animation going on with the ghosts and your psychic attacks and all the other stuff they put into that. Really more raw style into that to get it all going. Which is great. All the battles obviously are great, and more the human drama behind it with Mop trying to find out who he is.
I think it allows them to put more frames too. If the characters are a little more simple, And that is why I think a lot of a lot of anime where they have like these polished characters and stuff, they barely move, you know, because it's like we can't draw a lot of this. We could only draw like one, so we're gonna have these guys talk for half the episode, you know?
Scenes and scenes just talking and nothing else moves. Yeah. There's a lot of shows like
I
that.
saw that in Cyberpunk a lot. I just can't help but notice it.
But you know what I had to say though, Cyberpunk has a lot more animation than a lot of these other shows though, because like, I don't know. You finished it? I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything.
I haven't watched it.
No, still have to
I've seen
watch
clips,
it.
but
You know what?
they
I
say,
say,
they say it's got some. Its animation has like great moments and moments where like it's really goofy, basically.
Yeah.
But you know what? I still like it. You know, I think for the most part, there's not a lot of CG in that. All the action, I think, is hand drawn. There's like a few CG vehicles, but you know, I think Trigger really like to draw.
Yeah.
So
Which is funny coming from a game like Cyberpunk that's been such a disaster when it first launched.
Well, you know, I had to say this. I think people like the anime so much it bring about like a resurgence in the game. You know, and you know the show is surprisingly good. You could, I actually recommend it. It might be better than I think. You know that I don't know if you check out any. It actually make me want to check out Trigger other stuff. I think the painting and Trigger stuff is interesting. They put a lot of effort into that, the colors and stuff. And it really makes stuff stand out more. You know?
Yeah.
I was checking out the Academia short films. They had some good animation in them.
Yeah.
I have checked out the series too.
Yeah, I mean there are a few series that like just move all the time, like Space Dandy. Space Dandy is like an anime that just moves all the time. It doesn't have scenes that just talking and nothing else. It just goes all kinds of places and have all kinds of artists like USA or all kinds of artists. It just takes over an episode and just gets the craziest battles or the gags or whatnot. Yeah. I mean, for a sci-fi fan that wants something more authentic, that's a really good place to be, honestly. And you're gonna love the cast and how it all starts out and how the plot slowly but surely becomes a real plot and that kind of stuff and all kinds of references from other series and whatnot. And yeah, it really works for the anime. I mean, same creator as Qbhall, obviously. Also the same kind of setting almost, but then a lot different in that regard. I mean, yeah, there's just not a lot of sci-fi anime nowadays. It's just a few. Not much to go around.
Yeah.
Maybe it changed in like, I don't know, 10, 20 years, but who knows?
I think Space Danny and some of these other shows. Well, I think it's important for people who write in anime to know about how it's made, because I feel like that will make them write something better. That is to say, things that lend itself to the process. You know, like you're not gonna, if you know how anime is made, you're not gonna write something that can't be animated or that will have to be animated in like, you know, kind of like a shit way to. And a lot of Western animation, I think, are not written by animators. So that is why, you know, you might not always get the best result. Or, you know, that is why I think, I'm not sure. The guy who wrote Bebop, I know he was definitely involved in anime a long time before he wrote that. And that is why I think he was able to come up with so many cool things. You know, he's like, he's not going to write something that we can't make. He's going to write something that we can make in an effective way. You know? You know, and I know people say that they made Berserk 3D because of all this armor and stuff, but because it'll be a nightmare to draw. But I don't know, maybe that is something that the guy that was drawing the manga didn't make it in a way that could ever be animated. He didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe the manga maybe it's never meant to be animated. Then, maybe he wrote something that purposefully cannot be animated.
I mean,
this is the form that it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, well, both of them, Bebop and Space Day, were original projects. There was never a manga for. Maybe he wrote something about it, but never published it. But
Right.
on that, they're original projects. Just after the fact, it got one or two manga, and that's about it. Nothing too special. I mean, there's obviously storyboards made of it. I mean, I have two Blu-ray box sets that have two booklets, or big booklets, that have all the drawings and all the ideas in it for the series. Just about that it's made, and it's just a lots of references. Like Bebop, it has also a lot of references to other shows, movies. Like Evangelion even comes into it, or Bebop itself, or other sci-fi work, Star Wars, fuck you name it. Even real obscure stuff like what Kenny Lauderdale once spoke about that I found in one episode. He made a video with a certain anime, certain anime in the 80s. That's about, it's like 5-minute animes, 5-minute episodes, which is about rich couples just going on dates or dogs or beaches or whatnot, and it's really relaxing. The same kind of relaxing as Yokohama Kikoshi Kikako, for instance. That kind of type of shows. I mean, and they used that artist and that exact same plotline in an episode of Bebop, and then just struck me, and then I asked him about it. I'm like, and there was even Hard Cocktail. Yeah, Hard Cocktail is the name for the anime. And one song for that one episode is called Hard Cocktail. So I'm pretty sure that it is based on that, but it's just really obscure stuff. I mean, I don't know how they're even found it, but yeah, it's that kind of stuff. It's just like the references and really different shows choose to work on that, for instance. So, yeah. And also some Japanese they talked about the fact and nobody else. So, yeah.
All right. I remember you told me about his Hot Cocktail short those are the short animations, right? The Hot Cocktail animations.
Yeah. It's short animations he made for made in the 80s. Hard Cocktail. It's like really relaxing short animations, and only one episode has been, the first episode has been translated. The rest hasn't, thanks to Kenny Lauderdale's video. So yeah, we got that. But I mean, there's like 50 episodes of that later on. It got a second series in 2003, and yeah, it's the only one that has tobacco as its sponsor to make the series. It's the only animation that ever did that, or so far as we know. So, there's an interesting history, basically, for that kind of stuff.
Okay, and they have the kind of I don't know how to say, vaporwave aesthetic.
Yeah. Vaporwave, like the economic bubble of the 80s, basically. That kind of style and like that thing. I mean, it's not set in the far future. It's just in Japan at the time. There's a few episodes that play in the far future and there's some kind of dreamland and whatnot. There's a few things like that, but the majority is pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting bit of trivia that he used for an anime like this. I mean, it's a shame that Space Dandy is not as well known as it's supposed to be. I mean, it's way, it's one of the few sci-fi stories that, does a pretty good job, even for like the time and even now. I mean, there's barely anything, but yeah. Mm.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know like well, nobody would get a reference in Bebop without having some extensive knowledge. I never even really looked through to see all the other references in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. All right. I was also reading I was telling before I was reading what was it? Good Night Pun Pun. Kind of a strange name, but oh, you know it?
Well, I heard about it. I also heard that it's very trippy.
From Inyo Asano, a depressive manga, as far as I know. Really good art.
Well, and what I thought, well, I now found out about this guy. I was reading one of his other manga, the DDD. That is the short name. I'm not even going to try with the other name. But I think he's interesting. I like in this Pun Pun one here. Is like the main character is drawn as like a crudely drawn bird without explanation. But I was telling Maz that it is almost like it is more interesting because of that. It's more easy to identify with the character because of that in a weird way. Him and his family are the only one drawn like that, without any reason. And I was also reading what was the other? Well, yeah, that same DDD one, where this alien mothership is just hovering over the city, and people don't know what it's there for, but the characters in the manga just kind of living their lives normally. I also thought that's kind of interesting, and it is also always something that I wonder about. If something almost supernatural happens in the real world, how long will it take for people to kind of accept that and just kind of move on with their lives? Like,
yeah,
it's something I always think about, like.
It's a cool concept. It's basically a slice of life with those girls. They live in realistic world, but there are those spaceships, those aliens, if I remember correctly, basically there. Someone talked to me about this manga. They said that it's basically like K-On! With the aliens and drawn by Inyo Asano. I don't know if you agree with him or not. I haven't read it yet.
Well,
I plan to do it.
I haven't. Well, I haven't reached that far. I only started like yesterday, but I think it's But I hear that the science fiction elements come into play like after a long time. Like for the most part, it's not that. So I might call it supernatural, but science fiction. The supernatural kind of things only come in later on. So I want to see, and it has like 100 and something chapters or something like that. So and I'm on like chapter 6 or something. So I have a small way to go, before we start to see that. But I definitely think it's something interesting. I normally don't like grounded stuff, but this is only kind of grounded. At least it's grounded now. I want to see what I don't know. Is where I usually don't like slice of life stuff unless it have like some kind of a hook to it, if you know what I mean. Like it had to have some kind of abnormal thing going on. You know? Some kind of science fiction or supernatural thing.
Well, this certainly does, of course.
Yeah. You know, but I hope it actually, you know, has like a payoff. You know, I want to see some you know, some strange kind of ending, you know, but I don't know, we will see. But that's two of the new things I was trying. I still reading Chicken George, you know, I haven't picked it up in a while, but I mean, you guys know about that one, so that is, you know, that is it's kind of hard. It might be kind of hard to binge, you know, because it's just so crazy. You know, some kind of you know, not have like some kids in a giant Tyrannosaurus spaceship. You know, I would say it's a spoiler, but that is like, I mean, when I say that, you don't even get half of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Mess makes the craziest stories for that kind of stuff. I mean, Chicken George is basically the prequel to the Drifting Classroom, like before the apocalypse began. So yeah, he makes really wild stories, and sometimes there's stuff in it that doesn't make any sense, and later on he just removes it to get a better plot into it. And those stories, mind you, were for kids, like 10-year-old kids. Like the Drifting Classroom was for kids, and Chicken George pretty much was also for kids somehow, like the most gruesome stuff.
Yeah, well, I think kids in the past was a little different, you know.
Oh yeah.
You know, I don't think that would fly now, you know. There's a lot of strange stuff. And you know, maybe it's not good that it wouldn't fly now, you know. So that means this guy, he wouldn't be able to write this now. Like literally, who would he sell it to? You know. And I think that is bad. You know, I don't know. Maybe they would cancel him for it. I don't know. I was also reading Orochi. I was reading some of that. It's weird that it's the same guy because it is a lot more. I mean, the art is a lot more grounded. It's a lot more. I think with Chicken George, he just kind of drew a lot of crazy stuff, and he didn't put as much time into every panel. But with the Orochi, I think he was a lot more careful and realistic with some of the stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
Yeah. Also have 2 volumes of that on my shelf. So I just have to read the second volume. It's also there's a lot of.
I think it reminds me of Tommy, right? I don't know if
kind of in a way. Not really the same, but yeah, kind of. I mean, it's a girl with supernatural powers and tries to help people sometimes, and sometimes it just goes from worse to worse, and then just goes on to the next thing that she can help with.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like she not openly trying to be malevolent, you know, and some of the situations I'm not sure if she could help at all. You know, it's like, yeah, this situation is messed up, you know, so anything you do is gonna make it worse, you know. It's already a house of cards, you know. You can't do nothing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I was also I didn't look at a lot. Well, I still watching what is it? Uncle from Another World. Is that it? Isekai Oji-san.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Heard about it. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Don't know really much about it.
Well, as a big Sega fan, you know, the guy is like a huge Sega fan too, you know. So he and he was in a coma in the real world for like a long time, but he was like isekai away to some magic. And when he comes back to Earth, that is to say, wake up from the coma, he doesn't know that Sega no longer makes video game consoles, you know. So that's like a huge blow to him, you know. Which I thought was I surprised that they lean so much into it, you know, like the guy talk about a lot of Sega stuff, you know, and I was also looking at Chainsaw Man. Well, everybody talking about that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
There's a lot of CG in it, but I think that there's a lot of hand-drawn animation in it too. You know, there's a lot of. It's almost like if they use the CG to take a break from some of the stuff that's, you know, like a crowd scene with a lot of people, but they use that time to draw other stuff. You know, because it's like a fight with like a. Sorry.
Yeah, many Abra fights they use in it because he was really inspired by Abra. And even if he tried to make a petition to make a new anime, like more an anime movie, so that the action scenes get even faster than the anime is now, because they think it's kind of slow, but that's not gonna happen, obviously. Even the maker itself thought that would be a great idea, but that's never gonna happen because the anime is already being done. I mean, 12 episodes was a few weeks ago, so yeah, that's the first season. Then it's probably season 2 is coming along. I think I'm like on episode 3 now, so I just have to see the rest of the stuff, see the rest of the episode still, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, I've been pretty far with the manga, so like 40 chapters or something. 45, 50 maybe.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I mean, I always glad to see anything drawn by hand, you know. And have a lot of hand drawn stuff in it. You know, I always go on about it, but I mean, I don't know. I think like that is part of why I get into this stuff, because I like to see stuff drawn. You know, I mean, I get into anime because, you know, this was like, I mean, here in Trinidad, it wasn't really a thing for probably a decade before it was already popular in the West. You know, and we just totally were unaware of the existence of people making animation in Japan, and especially on the scale that they were making it. And I mean, like, just out of random, we got the Rurouni Kenshin TV series, but we got the Sony dub, Samurai X they used to call it here, and then that kind of made anime explode here. You know, everybody was obsessed. Wow, what is this? You know, these people with spike heads. It's like a total new thing. You know, and I mean, you know, to see drawings like that move, I mean, drawings with details like that and you know, painted like that and this kind of thing, that is not something you ever saw in Western animation, and you still don't see it. You usually still don't see it, you know. So I mean, you know, yeah, I'm always glad to see you know, new anime that have a lot of hand-drawn animation and not replaced by CG.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I can get it. Yeah.
I hope we see more of that. Let me see what else I was reading.
Speaking of anime, they are going to do more Junji Ito adaptation, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Uzumaki and another short anime series again.
Nice. I'm looking forward to watch.
Yeah, I'm especially looking forward to Uzumaki, done by what was it again? What studio did it again? Comes on what's late night television. What's it called again? Let me look it up. Let me look that up. Uzumaki.
Oh, they're making it animated, or is it live action?
No, animated 2D anime, like in black and white animation.
Okay, okay. As God intended and good.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Production IG does it, and it's gonna be on. Yeah,
Adult Swim.
yeah, Adult Swim. That's gonna be on. Yeah, there. Yeah, Adult Swim is gonna do that one. It's gonna be like I don't know, 12 episodes or something like that, more like an OVA. It's been I don't know 4 episodes. No, it's just 4 episodes, and maybe it's come out this year, but we're not sure yet. There's been an update like months ago that it still had to be worked on, but from the trailer I've seen, it looked pretty good, like traditional 2D animation. Probably some 3D is also in there, obviously, but the focus is to get more 2D in there. And then we got another short story, handpicked Junji Ito short stories, and I hope it's gonna be better than the first one, because the first one was not scary at all. Like, he picked the most boring stories out of all of them for some reason. I don't know. They're all handpicked stories, and in his head, it's gonna look good, but no, reality, no, it's not. It's not that great. So I hope he does a better job now with this new version of it. But who knows? We're gonna see. I mean, I've
Handpicked
seen a
by,
lot of.
you mean
Hmm?
handpicked by Junji?
Yeah,
I mean
handpicked
they were.
stories.
I think he has a different perception of like what's scary and what's not. Like, yeah, so to him they're probably are the most interesting. It's
Yeah, I
you know
guess. Yeah,
I,
I guess
I was
more.
wondering that I was no, did he have the did he have the freedom to choose? Because you see, like I wondering if he say okay, make this, and they were like, yeah, nah, we can't draw that. Choose something else, you know.
Hmm. I
Uh,
mean, yeah,
uh,
maybe. You don't really
I can
know
give these
that.
guys, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like a lot of times creators are like, yeah, well, I just doing this for the money. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, because it's not affecting my original works, right? So I'll
Hmm.
just say this is the Junji. As far as I know, they probably came to him and was like, yeah, just say this is the Junji in the collection, and
Yeah.
because like some of the stuff that he make, I imagine it gonna be like impossible. Like, could you imagine Hellstar Remini in anime?
I mean,
Is that
no,
in your
no.
mind? Remina, yeah, Hellstar Remina. Imagine he said he wanted that. I would like to see that. You'll have like some cosmic
Hmm.
horror shit going on. I would
Yeah,
like to see
Ramina,
that
I
one.
mean, that would be more like an OVA if they try to adopt that. They couldn't really put it in a short story. I mean, it's not as big a story, but uh, still, still, they could. I mean, if they still wanted to be more scary story, more scary stories, they should have chosen some better ones. I mean, there were better ones than the kid that tries to put havoc to do some voodoo dolls everywhere and just tries to spook people and it doesn't work and blah blah blah. I mean, the one with the slime family, like the family that just oozes slime from their bodies. I mean, that was pretty disgusting. I thought that was the best one out of them, but the rest was just not there for some reason. It doesn't work. So I don't know why they. I mean, if you really want a horror story, then you should pick the best ones and not just some short stories that are easy to do. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, it's for money, but if it's gonna be shit and you know it's gonna be shit, then yeah, how you want to make money out of it if it doesn't work? But luckily, we
Yeah,
get more horror stories out there in the modern world, like Umes or PTSD Radio is come out from manga, Orgy second volume. So we still get some more horror in there. Finally, some actually good horror stories than just cute stuff, cute horror stories. So that's a plus. So maybe this version is gonna be better, or maybe it's gonna be the same. I hope Uzumaki is gonna be the better of the two, but time will tell eventually.
Well, I mean, like, there's a lot of power in his name, you know. Just his name, I'm sure, made a lot of people go and get it. Go and look at the
Oh
first.
yeah. It's the only one that's really been advertised everywhere for Junji Ito. I mean, Junji Ito has been for years the only real horror mangaka that everybody knows. Ito has been, yes, it's been published in English in the early 2000s, and that got pretty rare, and then nobody else came really forward to do any horror stuff. Maybe short horror stories like one volume or something, but nothing else. And now Mess is getting back, and others are getting back, so maybe we get some actual horror back again. That would be really great, and just isekai stuff all the time, or they just cute stuff, or I don't know, any other bullshit plot lines they can just shove out the door and try to think, oh, this is great. I'm like, no, nobody cares. But that's
Well,
just
is there any other? Is there any other notable horror manga artists that from modern times at least?
I mean, PTSD horror is a good horror manga or a good horror series. Did also Fino no Tane, which is also a short horror story. So a video we did on that before we started these episodes, for instance. That's the same one that made PTSD horror, but it has more of a plot behind it than Fino no Tane. Also, so it starts out with short horror stories, but then slowly gets to the plot, but sadly never finished because the story itself got so to him that he spooked himself and didn't want to finish it at all anymore. So yeah, his own manga just
Wow.
got so scared they didn't want to finish.
You know what? I bet you he was just saying that to sell more copies. You know, he's like, oh, I can't even finish it. You know, oh, it's so.
Yeah, maybe.
Hey, it worked, right? It worked.
Yeah. He also has some mental issues too. He also sees all kinds of things, and he hears voices and whatnot. So, maybe it's it's double. Who knows?
You know, I mean, like, I imagine a lot of these creators, you know, they make up a lot of story, and there's a lot of mistakes surrounding them. Even somebody as well known as Nihei,
Ito?
you know, yeah, Nihei, blame guy, you know, Sumito Nihei, yeah. We don't know a lot about him, you know, and I think he likes that. You know? Imagine this guy has multiple shows on Netflix, and we don't know anything about this guy. You know?
Yeah.
So I think like a lot of these people use their mystique to sell stuff. Not that it's a bad thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I mean, he kind of had this relationship with his characters and with his creation, like Blame and other stuff, obviously, and how he feels about the characters and how he was at the time. But you only can read that in interviews and some interviews I could find, but it's a bit hard to find anyway. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think a lot of people have read that to read his works eventually, or maybe back in the day. But yeah, I mean, but with Blame, it's more like it sells itself. Really, he doesn't need to add a lot to it to get it selling. I mean, the world speaks for itself, really, in that regard. And something like Funatane or like PTSD Radio, yeah, maybe more. Maybe you need to say that more to get people going. But Blame, not really. I mean, with Blame, it was more like that Nie was pretty depressive at the time and didn't really like people and had this fear of death. That's why many of his old characters were almost immortal and can just survive goddamn anything that's been thrown at them. So yeah, he has that going for him back in the day, but he didn't really sell that or anything. So yeah, well, for that manga, obviously, which I know the most of through the years.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Like I said, Blame Guy didn't need anybody to. Is where I think it's almost like the internet did that for him. He wasn't really trying to do it. It just kind of became popular. Uh, on its own.
On its own.
And
I mean, he has he had lots of fan sites back in the day, whole forums that were dedicated to his works, just to talk about it in Japan, in Italy, in Europe, America, whatnot. So, yeah, plenty of places that sold on its own via all those places. I mean, I have a whole list of those sites. So, yeah, it sold on its own, really, for the time being, and now he's become more mainstream, and his new work, his new anime is being going on, and it's gonna be come out this month actually, like on the 30th, and on the 13th, on the 13th it's gonna come out. I thought just a week from now.
What show is that?
Wait, let me look up. I always forget these new titles if you looked up the stuff so much back in the day.
Not opossums? Or possums, or how you pronounce it?
Snow Kina. Let me look it up. Snow.
The one with the Snow Sea.
The Snow Sea, yeah. Kina and the Snow Sea or something like that. That's his new work, which is basically set on a new planet where a girl is being in a balloon, gets to some kind of membrane of the earth or something where other people live just above the ground, basically 1,000 kilometers up, and then the whole story evolves from there, and they just try to figure out what's been done to her or something like that. I haven't really. The plot is not really that clear. I mean, there's a manga already out for it, but it's not done by Nie, just the story itself, but not the art. That's the first. He just does the anime, basically, and the designs and whatnot. So, we're gonna see how it's gonna be developed in the coming months, I guess. Opossums is being completely left in dust with its lackluster, rushed plot. And
but I actually still kind of like it, just the strangeness of it, just and I mean, like they mentioned like a lot of ships from Earth trying to seed civilization all over the universe, right? Like that's kind of what I got from some of his other stuff. I think Sidonia was one seed ship, and I feel like Opossums was another one.
There was like a short bit in Sidonia that they talked about Opossums being another seed ship that had contact with Sidonia, and it got lost along the way and never seen again. And now we have a manga that is called Opossums. That's probably that other seed ship that landed on the planet, got the core going, and then the whole saga began, basically. And I can see why people like it for some of the panels, obviously, with the snow and the landscape with the mecha structure, all this random stuff just lying around. I mean, there's a few nice panels and a few nice pages, but also a lot is really low detail and doesn't do anything. And I mean, I guess the shots that people make to other people are a bit more powerful. Like you see their heads explode, or you see like more of an impact going into them or something like that. But I don't know.
Well, I like how sometimes, and he does this in Blame too, like where it'll be like calm, and then like a head will explode, and like you'll see like a severed hand, going over to one side. And this is like that too, this casual violence, but it's casual extreme violence, and it's kind of like that too. And I mean, I just like to see like the bad guys kind of get come up once too. Like there's this guy that's like he's so confident and he just want to kill the protagonists, and then oh, now he's dead. In like one panel.
Yeah.
Is and just Nihil, I think, has like a lot of interesting ideas that are also interested in, and I read a lot of other media that have them. There's the idea of transhumanism and generation ships. People trying to become and then technology almost becoming mythical. Like we was talking about before. I don't know if any of you guys played Horizon Zero Dawn. That is that whole series.
No, but I've seen playthroughs from it, so seen the whole game anyway.
Yeah, but it have like a lot of some of those themes, like where technology is mythical to these people because they were like, I don't know, I suppose spoilers for a 6-year-old game. There was this post-apocalyptic event, and they had the modern day humans, like close to modern day, set up so that the earth would be reseeded with humans, but there was nobody to teach them, so they kind of build mythology around the technology that they see.
On the old
to them
world,
it's like magic and that kind of thing. But
our main character discovers this technology, puts it on, and can scan anybody, and can more control it all, and just tries to uncover what this world once was, but the peers are just like, no, this is bad magic or something like that. I mean, I have it on PlayStation 4, and forgot I already had it. So in that regard, you can see how that works out. And Soma, obviously, I mean, the core world really plays out like Soma. Like you can transport it to a digital version of Earth and just reside in there and just have your whole life in there. But you are data. You're not in your own body anymore. Your data has been transferred to the world. So there's also a lot to do with it. But I don't know. It was really, but also a lot of these plot lines are really well known, like the antagonist groups, a group that tries to destroy the main character's group, and then gets in a fight with another group that is supposed to be better than them. It has to be replacing them, and they have to work together, but obviously they don't like each other, they don't wanna. And then later on, the new group attacks the old group, tries to wipe them out and see how better they are, but our main protagonist gets the new group out and just defeats them real easy, and the old group just gets back in form. I mean, I've seen a bit of other series, it's not that new.
It's really just about the way they deliver it, like I think Koma was mentioning Panzer Dragoon. Was it you, Koma? But
sorry.
Was it you were mentioning Panzer Dragoon before?
Yeah,
Panzer Dragoon. Oh, that was
Panzer Dragoon, for the Sega Saturn, yeah.
Right. That's kind of the same concept, but the way it's delivered is what sets it apart. What makes it unique then? Because that is like a trope, like, oh yeah, well, technology is lost, and we the primitive people of modern day just kind of digging it up and using it however we could, like that is a trope, but it's how it's delivered. I think is really like what makes it more interesting, because people always say this
really strange, like the whole setting of Panzer Dragoon. It's not like they live in primitive ways. They have technology of their own, and maybe even reverse engineer technology from the one from the past, but there is also this superior technology that is lost, and the lore is probably really huge, actually, and who knows, there is also a community dedicated to those games if you want to learn more. But the games on themselves are worth checking out. Maybe the remake of the first one on Steam is better. Unfortunately, the source code for those games is long gone, so it's impossible to port them to newer system. And
particularly the RPG. I know for sure that one is, but that guy, one of the guys that was involved in it, he gave a GDC talk where he hinted that they found something. That is what he hinted. Now, whether they do something with it or not is a different story. You know.
Yeah.
You know, because they have. I think Sega has the most dormant IPs that people want new games for. You know, they have huge amounts of dormant IPs that we might never see another game for, and Panzer Dragoon is one of them.
Particularly these days, because now retro gaming is on the rise, and there are more people interested in it, and the Saturn itself as a system is now impossible to collect for if you want to get Western releases. Most of the most sought after games are so expensive now. Panzer Dragoon RPG itself goes for many hundreds of dollars, so you must emulate it, or I don't know, get a Saturn and buy a pseudo Saturn Kai, which is a cartridge that you put on the Saturn that allows you to play backups. So you burn the game and then you play it like that, because you can't get it for cheap unless you are extremely lucky. Like I saw a video of someone who find it at a thrift store in the USA for like $5, and that is a score, because some people have spent like $600, maybe more than $1,000 for that game alone. So yeah,
it's weird. I always wonder if there's no way to print new quote unquote original discs. Surely there must be a way.
I don't know, because as I said, the system itself is dead, so it's unlikely that they will print new Saturn discs, even if it's possible.
I mean, like just the way how popular, like just like you mentioned, how popular retro is now. I would have thought that, and you know, they have these people that make these repros, you know.
Yeah.
So I always wonder, like, what there must be a way to print something close to an original that will play on an unmodified Saturn. This is just kind of by the way, because
you can do.
I know there's these other ways.
It's basically like burning backup copies. It's like a more refined way to burn a backup copy of the game, but it's
I've never,
I guess.
Yeah, apparently it's something that can only be done by the industrial equipment, because nobody's ever. You have to modify the Saturn in some way to play any kind of a burn disc. But I mean, at least there's ways around it now with the SD card replacement that they have, and the other thing you mentioned that goes in the there's one that goes into the video port, right? The video expansion.
The VCD, yes. The Satiator, I think it's the name, the one that was developed by the Professor Abrasive. There is also there are many options to play backup games on the Saturn. You can either get the pseudo Saturn Kai from AliExpress, or just flash an action replay card yourself, but it's more convenient to get the one from AliExpress. and then you can play backup copies. That way you burn CDR with the ice of the game, and you go that way. If you have the money to invest, you can replace the optical drive with an ODE like the Fenrir. It's called. You can play games through SD card that way, or if you want to invest more, you get the satiator, and that costs like $259 plus shipping. It's like kind of expensive.
Yeah.
And if you are broke, you just go, you play through an emulator on the PC or another system, which is how I did years ago to play Panzer Dragoon Saga. I do own a Saturn, a Japanese Saturn. By the way, if you want to collect for the system, you for now the only option is to get the Japanese versions of the games, because as I said, it's impossible to buy the American ones. There are so many games that are crazy expensive.
Yeah. I read that Panzer Dragoon Azel, well, they call it Azel there, not Saga in Japan. It's not even that expensive
Panzer Dragoon RPG, or in Japan was Azel Panzer Dragoon RPG, and in the US in Europe was Azel Panzer Dragoon Saga. Yeah.
Yeah, I read it's not even a rare game over there. You know, it's just like because I mean the Saturn was popular there, so they have like a boatload of copies, which is good. But you know,
because it came out. So basically, the game itself it's different compared to the previous Panzer Dragoon. The first two games were rail shooters. You fly on this dragon and shoot things from the sky, basically. This one takes that concept and make it like a JRPG to compete against Final Fantasy VII. But because it came out at the end of the life cycle of the Saturn, and also because Sega did a poor job in advertising the game, there were few copies printed, maybe a couple of thousand for each region. Besides Japan is the one that had more prints, of course. And because of that, it got rare really fast, as far as I know. Like in 2010 was already like $200 plus dollars, and now it's impossible to get for less than 500 maybe, right? Really fucking hard. Also, it depends on many factors, like the condition of the game, if the discs are scratched or stuff like that. But in general, that is one of the most rare games for the system, and save yourself the trouble and emulate it, or I don't know. Get a pirate.
I mean,
when I emulated it, yes, you know, the Saturn emulator was crude, but you know, and also my computer was bad too. So I remember playing it at like 3 or 4 FPS. But even that, I was glad to do it just to see, just to get a glimpse of this thing. And in many ways, I think it's better than FF7 because there's a lot of things. The game has like full voice acting in a made up language, but still, I don't think FF7 has anything close to that.
I mean, it's kind of weird that a game like Phantom does. It's just so well preserved. I mean, it even has a remaster. I mean, I saw today like a whole video, like 40-minute video on Phantom Dust now that was made to be. It's even free on PC and Xbox right now.
I think that's the same guy, right?
Yeah, he made Dragoon before that.
Futatsugi, yeah. Yeah, Yukio Futatsugi, yeah.
Yeah, which basically
they made it. Well, they made it in they made it for Microsoft, so I'm sure they were better funded than they were definitely better funded. Like I get the idea that back in the day the storage space was just so valuable, and they didn't even think about how will we re-release this, if we ever have to do that.
I mean, the graphics were way better back then than the Xbox could handle. It was more like Xbox 360 for like a later generation. Was it more fit with than the original Xbox?
Oh yeah, no, but I was talking about in the generations before, like during the age of Panzer Dragoon, they didn't back stuff up. I mean, like is like a big problem in Japanese game development where they don't even have the original assets anymore for many games, like FF8, Silent Hill 2, huge games that they don't have the source code for. And that is why, like, even now, the things that we get, they aren't like straight up ports. They kind of like they emulated it. Even the like I think a lot of the modern releases, even they have this change, parts, because they can't even remove that because that's like in the original game. And like the Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 0. Remember there were remakes on the GameCube? And they re-released those for modern consoles. They didn't even have the original background files. They had to kind of upscale them and kind of touch them up or something, because like to even find the original 3D scene files that they used to make the pre-rendered graphics, there's no way they don't have that stuff anymore, and I don't know if they'll even be able to read it. I don't know. It's just something that's interesting. Like, and a lot of there's so much lost media. Like lost media is like a whole rabbit hole that you could go down.
I mean, it's the same for the Blood source code. It's also been famously lost for decades at this point, since 1997. Recently, they found the source code for the demo from 1996, but you can't do anything with it. It's more like a historic relic at this point, just to fun to look at and to admire what they made with it. So yeah, there's lots of source codes from lots of games just gone completely.
I wonder if like is there another programmer, there must be a way to reverse engineer the source code from the files that we do have, but on the disk.
I mean, they tried. I mean, Mblood did it kind of. They tried to remake the whole thing again, but yeah, the original thing, how it's supposed to be, is just not there. The source code just makes it that you get the original assets, like everything that was in the original, back again. But if you don't have that, you have to either build it like from the ground up again, or to reverse engineer some things and just get as close as possible to the original. But yeah, without original, it's a bit impossible to do it. I mean, they tried to do it with the new source codes for Blood. Where is it again? Whatever. They build that from the ground up, but it also has a lot of bugs, a lot of things. And thanks to Atari, they don't update it anymore. But it's now mostly bug-free that you can just normally play it. But yeah, it's just kind of a problem for these games. And recently, some games of the Duke Nukem franchise were back, or like leaked onto the internet, like demos of like Duke Nukem Reloaded and Duke Nukem Forever, but then the old version from like 2005 or something has been back in circulation again. So we can take a look at that and how that would originally play, and how that would looks way better than what we got. But yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that they were trying to find like what was it? All right, they released one of the original versions of the demo for one of the earlier tease versions of Duke Nukem, right?
Mm.
Right. I don't know if you saw that the Duke Nukem Forever, because there was one that released, but the game was being made over so many years that they had all these demos that they showed.
Yeah.
You know, and somebody actually leaked one of them, which that is actually kind of interesting too. That
Yeah, they got a
like
whole
the
version
demo.
for that just leaked onto the internet. What the original version would have looked like 20 years ago. And how it would play.
Yeah,
It's
that is
basically just a
interesting.
demo version of it,
What is it?
like unfinished stuff, but also still a lot of it is still playable, and people can still play it, and just recently, if Reloaded was redone, so yeah. I mean, I don't know how the hell they still got it. They probably hacked into the systems and found it and just leaked it on the internet. But
Yeah. You
hey,
know,
we got so
I get the feeling. I get the feeling that like a lot of stuff, it like it exists on one of the employees' hard drives, and after maybe some NDA expires or they figure that they're safe now, they eventually just kind of release it anonymously online, you know, because like a lot of the source code that people find that is lost, quote unquote lost, I think some of them is like employees that, you know, stole a hard drive or just took a hard drive home or something, or made a backup of their own, and you know, it's important for preservation. Like if there exists a Panzer Dragoon source code, it would have to be one of the employees took it home, you know, or something like that, you know. Yeah, I mean, like there's I don't know anything about Doctor Who, but I know that a lot of the source code for that stuff is lost too. No, not source code, original episodes, original seasons for it. You know, and people sometimes people find it in like, you know, a church basement or something like that, or some early recording equipment, you know, got a copy. It's kind of interesting. Like even, and you know, we talk about anime before, you know, just imagine the effort that goes into making an anime, and now it's lost media. You know, where is all of that stuff? You know,
a lot of stuff from the 70s, 60s is also, a lot of it is just lost. Even Landsman, which was a big influence for Star Wars, for instance, like the whole setting, the crew, the designs, the whatnot. And the majority is just lost now, but the episodes are being slowly but surely being found again. I mean, the most important thing, well, the most well-known is like the movie that's in the most well-known thing that's was still preserved, but a lot of the series was still gone. But slowly but surely we're getting that back. It's not really lost media anymore, but yeah. And Kenny Lauderdale is getting on the move to his new place, so he's now just trying to get tapes onto the net and just constantly trying to upload new versions from his tapes into the net, like onto archive.org, because YouTube doesn't really want to do that. But so that's interesting, for instance. But yeah, there's a lot of anime that just gone lost, or just nobody thinks about it anymore, or like, yeah, it's the same for manga. I mean, also did a few chapters of to manga that's been on Kappa magazine with me and Koma. I looked for it for when and where, and From the Beyond also been well, nobody knew about it, so why not get in try to translate it?
There are many others one shots to be translated from that magazine. Actually, way too many.
Yeah. I mean, the majority just is from Afternoon anyway, and the majority is just really well known. So majority is already online, so it's not that difficult. It's just a few of these one shots that's just not anywhere online, or what the maker made anyway, or hell, I still don't know what he's be making more, or it's just these two one shots, and that's about it. It's just and the rest that he made to try to deliver for some competition for afternoon didn't work, and he just gave up, or who knows what he did with it. And maybe we get when and where someday translated, but who knows really.
Yeah, it's interesting that sometimes is high profile creators too that have lost works. Like I think there's or not even lost, but just some of them might be lost. I think Otomo have stuff that nobody have copies of, like early works before he became big time. Katsuhiro Otomo, his early things. I think there's stuff that people don't know about, because it was published and it kind of went down the memory hole in one of these monthly magazines.
Just the magazines, but never got into a volume or anywhere else. So yeah, it just got stuck in there and nobody knows about it. I mean, it's the same with.
I was looking at. This is interesting. The famous bike slide from Akira.
Yeah.
I was looking at a video about the art book, about an art book with like a lot of the scans of the original drawings, and one was from and even Otomo didn't have some of those frames, which I find amazing. Like this is from his collection, and he didn't even have the full sequence of that. Like out of everything,
it's just lost media, just gone.
Yeah, somebody must have stolen it or taken it. Maybe he only have the frames that he personally was responsible for. I don't know, but I just find that so interesting. But at the time that they made it, but at the time that they made it, probably wasn't. But maybe they didn't know it was gonna be like that. Maybe he was just picking up, whatever he could save, and he didn't know that this was gonna be iconic. So maybe it wasn't that big. But I just find that interesting. The guy that created it.
It's real ironic, yeah.
Like it. But then where do you save all this stuff? Like I read that like a lot of these guys, these manga artists and animators and stuff, if they're successful enough, they actually have like a separate apartment just for all of this stuff, and I could see that happening. Like I don't have like a lot of physical material. Like a friend bought some art books for me, and that is like pretty much all the physical stuff that I have in terms of like art books and things. So imagine, I have like 6 art books or less than 10, I think, art books. And imagine these guys have a lifetime of not just their work, but work that they were involved with. We would need a whole extra house. So I guess it makes sense that so much is lost, but it's still sad, Imagine somebody slaving over that drawing and it's just lost somewhere, It's in a bin somewhere. It's in a landfill. The Dragon source code and any number of other things.
I mean, I recently did like a chapter of Nye, like Ido. I scanned it in again, and then a better version of it, like the raw version of it, and that is never seen before that the light of day, because he was just stuck on a magazine like Qbhall was just stuck on, and just nobody else was translating it, or was never published it online, or like maybe like in the early 2000s it did that, like a few scans or whatnot, but those links are long gone, or those pics are long gone, so it was just gone for like 20 years. And then I posted it on the subreddit r/netsphere. I posted it on there, and then I had somebody come forth. Oh yeah, I remember this from 20 years ago that I read this when I was 8 or 9 or something on the computer. I'm like, how do you like? How rare is that to get somebody that remembers something so small like that in so short time frame to have read that on a scan back in the day, and just like, oh yeah, memory unlocked. I just remember this whole thing again. Thanks to these scans. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty interesting.
I mean, look, Koma is obsessed with Panzer Dragoon, and I thought like I have to be the only person in Trinidad that cares about Panzer Dragoon, you know, and just out of random, you know, like I don't know, maybe it's like people with interest that are similar in some way just kind of congregate together somehow, you know, because there's nothing about on the surface, there's nothing about Nihei that would have connected these two, you know, but if you start to like look at them closely, there's a lot of similarities, you know, so maybe that's why, you know, the lost technology, the technology becoming mythical, you know, all of that stuff. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, so that guy was probably on the lookout for that thing that you posted. So he actually came across it, you know. So it's I don't know,
just a long
but
time
then again, he had to have been looking for that at the time that you posted it, because otherwise it would have, you know. So that also is a coincidence, you know. He could have never find it. But I don't know.
Or maybe, well, he says he just saw my post randomly and thought like, oh yeah, I saw this back in the day, and to him it was like just a fever dream because he didn't really know if it was really a thing of Nihei or it's just a random thing or he never even read it, and he just saw it on an old computer of his cousin or something or himself, and just on when he was 8 and 9, and suddenly just remember the whole thing. I'm like, oh, that's kind of rare. I mean, I scanned it in before, and then it was also translated, but the scan's horrible because I didn't know what I did back in the day, because scanning it never did, or like anything you need to do after to do that. So, but it was still translated. So yeah,
it's good that it's preserved now, and it's interesting that, like, I like that you mentioned that he thought it was a fever dream, you know, because before the internet, and even especially before the internet, I should say, is easy to kind of, I suppose, gaslight yourself and say, you know, I imagine that didn't happen because that's so crazy, you know. There's no record of it. Like if you have a magazine and then that's thrown away or is lost even in your own house, you have nowhere to show that.
Yeah,
you know, you can. So there's this commercial that I'm always looking for, and apparently it was popular in Trinidad because you used to show all the time, but nobody else online ever seen it, right? So it's like a collective fever dream for here. But then once I searched online, I put it in the Reddit Lost Media or one of these Reddits, and one other guy from like Texas or something, you know. He responded to me, and he also was asking about it, and nobody else ever responded to him. So just me, the whole of Trinidad, and this one guy from Texas is the only people that remember this commercial. You know? And it's the same. Imagine all the other media, all these more, and with TV back in the day, nobody had recording stuff, or it was so few people that had recording stuff that.
Features was not that common.
And imagine that for a lot of stuff, that is the only copy that exists. This bullshit copy from a Betamax from 1987. You know?
It's true. It's true. It's just a real low chance that anybody has captured it or recorded or whatnot, and even further back stuff just gets re-recorded over it because it was just so valuable, all that stuff, to even record it on it. So it just gets reused all the time, and just even with the moon landing, the original moon landing is just gone. That's they only have the footage that they used in the control center itself. They just have that footage, but now that the cameras were focused on that footage, but never mind the real footage. And with people that just
you think they would have broken off the tab, you know? Do not record over, you know. Just break off the little thing that prevents it from recording. It's crazy, yeah. You know, imagine that. So if that could be lost, what can't be lost? You know, what is sacred then? You know, nothing.
No.
Yeah. Hope I didn't monopolize the conversation because I think we're on 2 hours here.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing, I also knew a guy that was some moderator and the admin of the server of the NIE server for Heavy Industries. That's from Cuba, and he is probably the only one that is that big of a fan of NIE in Cuba. There's nobody else that is that big of a fan in there. That's just from Cuba. Like the only person I know I was really that interested from Cuba. That's also pretty interesting to talk to somebody like that. We had him for years and now he's gone. But well, yeah, it's been 2 hours. So probably should call it a night. So,
Right.
well, thanks for having everyone, and maybe on the next time, like maybe in the future, maybe on Earth, maybe in the future. Bye bye.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for
Later.
having us.
Bye.
Bye.
Later. Bye.
See you.